All right, beautiful people, what's divine femininity and why is it so important? All right, in today's society, I'm going to say the hard part out loud. I'm just going to be real because we're in that day. Everybody wants to walk around blind, act like they don't know why our society has the problems that it has. And if they are going to get fixed, you have to rip the fucking band-aid off the wound, expose it, and let it dry out in the air. So, divine feminine energy is basically your intuitiveness, your spirituality, combined with the need to take back your power and your energy. And so I'm going to cover different subjects, and the course is more extensive. But basically, spiritually speaking, a woman that's in tune with God in today's church is being taught to basically give herself away, ignore her own needs, be there for her family, be there for her work, be there for her children, her husband, whatever the situation is, and suffer in silence. Well, okay, let's take a step back and let's look at all the religiousness that has come about from that way of thinking and what good has that done for society. When you have taught people that constant suffering, just, suffering and suffering, and the woman is supposed to give and no. Well, what you're going to end up doing you're going to end up with a lopsided point of view, and you're going to have givers and you're going to have takers. And unfortunately, in our society, what we're not teaching men is that they are the providers and that they are the givers. Women are actually basically to receive. Once they receive, that they transmutate that energy, and then they give to the children, and that's the way in which it is supposed to go. The Bible is very clear of that the man is supposed to love his wife as a church. The wife submits to the husband, but the wife is also the caregiver to the children. We don't have that right now. Men are incredibly selfish. They're incredibly manipulative. They lie, they cheat, they steal. And this has gotten so blatantly obvious within the Christian church that I have pulled myself back, will not participate. And you have a reflection of the modern day church going on in politics right now. So instead of looking at another person and going, they're the problem, they're the problem, what can we do as women to take our power back and to take our spirituality, and if you want to even go as far as to say a religion back? All right, number one, I want to touch on this. This is very important. Never date a broke man, and this is so super important, and I'll explain why. You also need to teach your girls. This is now a time that we don't live in a safe environment where we can trust that the patriarchy is going to do what it's supposed to do, whether it's protect, whether it's provide, whether it's, and so you have these universal laws that in and outside of Christianity, Judaism, Muslim, any religious group, even Hindu, you have these religious or karmic laws that go all the way back to the beginning of time. The Hammurabi Code was the first law written, and it was not based on Judaism. It was not based on Christianity, but it was basic laws. And you have don't cheat, don't murder, don't covet, because what does covetousness do? It builds up envy and strife, jealousy, that kind of thing. So you have some basic, and of course there were civil laws in there too, but you have basic universal laws that have to be followed in order for the next generation of our species to survive. So regardless of your religious stance or lack thereof, if we're not following these religious laws, we're not going to allow our species to survive. And I want to point out the incredible amount of man worship right now that's creating AI robots as women, even so much to carry children, so that men can decrease in their job and their role of protector, provider, and supposed to love and cherish. They don't have to do any of this if they can get a robot to do your job. So it's really time for women to step back, and instead of giving and giving and giving and suffering and suffering and suffering and hurting and, basically getting the ass into the stick and it rolling over into the decrease of morality in the next generation. So let's take a look at one very important, and this is, some people would say, oh, you're a gold digger. No, I've heard many other women speak on this, but it is very important that women when we evaluate relationships, we evaluate where a man is financially and where he is with his stability. And the reason is because, and I've heard so many people talk about this, plus I've had experience with it. If a man takes a woman up under his wing, he is supposed to protect, he's supposed to provide, he's supposed to give. She transmutes that, she receives. A woman's body is made to receive, a woman is to receive, a man is to give. When that is out of alignment, what other things fall into suit, and that's not transferred to the next generation. So let's go into a man that's not financially stable, or a man that is just his life is not completely stable. So a woman sees this and she plays Captain Save-A-Ho. Well, what happens with that is that eventually he will get up on his feet and he will look at her, and that is a constant reminder that he was not where he needed to be, and he will quickly Judas her out, basically turn on her, be disloyal, whatever it is, so that he can go find some other woman. And instead of saying, hey, I made myself off her back, he's going to say, hey, look at what I did. Then it's not a constant reminder in his face every day that he needed the help of a woman. So it's a pride, it's an ego thing. And because our society lacks morality, and men lack the ability of saying, we're supposed to be co-creators, and I help you out when you need it, and you help me out when I need it. Men don't we're told that men, especially in the church, are above that. And so when their ego gets wounded and their pride gets wounded, they will use whatever means necessary if they are not stable, whether it's financially or in their family structure, including a woman, to get where they want to be, and then turn and cut her throat, so that she's not a constant reminder of what he wasn't when they met. And that is super important. Look at the stability and the capability of provision, because they will run you through the mud to get to where they need to be, and then turn around and cut your throat, Judas you out. So yeah, just like Judas, was in a mindset of it would be best just to sell him up the river for 30 pieces of silver. And then he's not going to be around to remind me. That's what's happening.